What's up, guys? Matt Brown here, lineups.com. Let's get into Survivor week number 5. Good thing is odds are most of you are still with us here in this pool. We have not had a week of just massive carnage. Of course, we didn't get by this week without anything. The Chargers did lose, and there was a lot of people that were on the Chargers this past week, but really the number 1, 2, 3 pick, stuff like that has been getting through so far. And so glad to have you all here and glad that you're still alive out there in Survivor. Here's Noop's article over here over on lineups. You can take a look at what he thinks for this week as some options. We can go down and look at the spreads over here. You can see starting on Thursday night, you have the Rams as 8.5-point favorites. You've got the Colts as 7-point favorites here. Keep scrolling down. Some Cardinals action at 7.5 at home over the Titans. You got the Lions as 10.5 on the road over Cincinnati. Then you've got the Bills as 8-point favorites there over the Patriots. And so my guess is the most popular pick this week is very likely to land on the Cardinals. If you have not already used the Cardinals, then this is your pretty obvious choice where you use the Cardinals, probably because you almost have no future value with this Cardinals team past this week at all. We're talking at Indy, Green Bay, a bye week, at Dallas, at Seattle, San Francisco, which will will definitely be much healthier by week 11. Jacksonville in 12, at Tampa in 13. You get the point. Arizona has basically no future value at all, unless you make it to the very end where they play Atlanta in 16 and Cincinnati in 17. But again, like the game against Cincinnati is on the road. Atlanta might figure something out by then. I mean, this is it. This is the spot. If you have Arizona, this is where you use Arizona. If you have already used Arizona, this is where things get interesting. Detroit is a big favorite this week. That said, if you're in Circa, Detroit is one of those teams that is a wild card team, right? They play on both of the holiday weeks. So it's really good to have one of those teams in your back pocket. So I think there will still be some usage on Detroit over in Circa, but I do think that you need to at least consider, if you're watching this and you're in the Circa contest, just Detroit is definitely one of those teams that is good to have in your back pocket. There's no doubt about it. So then that leads us to whether you have the Bills left or not and the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts, where were we? Yeah, right here. At home against the Raiders. The only and it's not a pro. If you want to roll the Colts this week, I'm perfectly fine with it. The only thing I will say, week number 8, which isn't that far off, they play Tennessee at home. Tennessee is the worst team in the NFL, will likely continue to be the worst team in the NFL. That's why we're playing Arizona this week against them. We're playing the Cardinals at home against the Titans. Well, Indy gets the Titans at home in week 8. That is such a slam dunk smash spot right there that I'm going to try. So if you guys were following my path so far, I've not used the Bills. I have used the Cardinals. I can't use the Cardinals. I'm saving Detroit. So I am very likely to use Buffalo and probably shove with Buffalo this week. That said, if you want to roll out Indy against Las Vegas, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. All I'll say is week 8 against the Titans seems like the perfect spot for that. Then on Thursday night, if some of you are wondering, well, what if I play the Rams on Thursday night against this just absolutely beat up 49ers team? No Brock Purdy, no Ricky Pearsall, no Juwan Jennings. We already knew there was no Ayuk and Kittle. I mean, it's just absolutely brutalized. I will say, again, fine, but the Rams play New Orleans at home in week 9. So just to keep, again, maybe you've already used Arizona and maybe you've already used Buffalo. Maybe you use both of those and you don't have a choice. Then yeah, it's got to be between Indy and the Rams. I would then at that point probably jam the Rams. And then at least in week 9, you have the option of using Green Bay against Carolina. So again, everything changes depending on the size of your pool, how many people are left, all of those things. Are you in circa? Are you not? Are you in a contest that plays on the holiday weeks or not? But I think there's some pretty clear cut what we're doing this week. And if you have Arizona is number 1 play by a long shot. Almost no future value. You get the worst team in the NFL coming to your place. If you're not in circa, Detroit is definitely in play, but Detroit has a ton of future value. If you want to, Detroit plays Minnesota in week 9 at home. They play the Giants at home in week 12. They play Dallas at home in week 14. They play Pittsburgh at home in week 16. Just tons of different places you can use Detroit. And of course, if you're in circa, like I mentioned, they're one of the wild card teams. I would hold on to them, considering they play on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So where do we go from there? If you have Buffalo, Buffalo's an obvious spot against New England. 8-point favorites at home. And while I like New England, hell, if you remember last week, I played some entries on them, but they're not the Bills. And then Indianapolis would be followed there. For me, Indy against the Raiders should be perfectly fine. That said, I'm not playing them, saving them for week 8 against Tennessee. I'm going to try to play against the Titans as much as humanly possible. They are now the 32nd ranked team in the NFL in my power ratings, in most other people's power ratings. They can't do jack. And so if I can use the Colts at home against them, I think that'd be great. I think I've mapped out a path that gets us there pretty easily. So I'm holding on to the Colts, but again, depending on where you are and what teams you've used and all of that, Colts obviously a great spot this week at home against the Raiders as well, who have not really been able to generate consistent offense whatsoever. Geno Smith keeps giving the ball to the other team. As far as getting cute plays this week, I think the only one that you could have me even listen to would be Minnesota playing over in London, mainly because it's Dylan Gabriel starting for the Browns in his first start in the NFL. They're only 3.5-point favorites because remember, it's still Carson Wentz. But, Dylan Gabriel, I don't think he's any good anyway. And then he is making his first start in the NFL. So that's kind of your get cute play of the week. Maybe you're someone out there that still has 10, 20, 30 entries in whatever contest you're in. I think, getting Minnesota out of the way. I don't know how often you're going to be wanting to play Minnesota. Getting them out of the way against a dude making his first start in the NFL could be a way to kind of get them out of the way and use them. That's kind of your get cute play of the week. But again, power ratings, very simple. If you have Arizona, don't be silly. Play Arizona. Going from there, if you have the Bills, I think the Bills are strong. I don't think there's a click that you love with the Bills until later on in the season. So, and they don't play on any of the holidays either. And then of course, like we said, I'm saving the Rams. I think the Rams have a smash spot against New Orleans at home in week number 9. That said, this is still a good spot against a very beat up 49ers team, if you want to go that direction. And then the Colts against the Raiders at home. However, week 8 against Tennessee Titans at home, worst team in the NFL. That's the spot that I'm going to be holding on to them for. So guys, again, just go over here. You can see what Noops has going on and see what he thinks and what teams that he's going to be playing this week. See, he has power rated the Colts number 1. And again, I like I said, I'm fully behind that. I'm just going to hold on to them until week number 8. But if you're in a smaller pool, hey, survive in advance. Do what you got to do to make it to this video for next week. And hopefully we'll all still be alive, and hopefully we'll all be going for one of those big checks out there. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section how you are going to be playing Survivor this week. Remember, we got to start thinking about the future a little bit. We got to start thinking about what teams we want to have left and when we're going to use those teams. And so that's why the strategy is starting to get a little bit interesting here in all of Survivor. Good luck on all your picks this week.